Have you ever wondered how to get children to behave? You have those children in your classroom and you are thinking, how am I ever going to get them to behave or do the behavior cues that I would like them to do? Well, we have the exact 6-step process that we have used for the last 15 years across our residential children's homes, foster care settings, and within our schools. So if you're ready to learn how to get children to behave, you're in the right place. Grab your coffee and your notebook and let's get into it. I'm Danielle Douglas from Let's Talk Behaviour, and we are now in 87 countries across the world. Our behaviour planner was Education Book of the Year 25 finalist. And we make behaviour management easy for you using neuro and brain science. If you haven't already got our free resources, we have got hundreds of free resources available for you. Also, if you are interested in behavior, then watch this video on YouTube. You'll find it really interesting. Okay, so we are trying to get children to behave. We are trying to get them to do the behavior cues that we would like them to. We have told them a million times. We've been through it. We've shown them. We've used visuals, but they just don't get it. And why? Why is that? So let's look at the neuroscience. Children only remember 50% of what you have told them for 1 hour, which means when you told them at 9 o'clock exactly how to behave or exactly how to sit, by the time it's lunchtime, those children have already forgotten. Also, children struggle to process verbal information. So when we are telling children how to behave or what to do, they simply do not understand what we're saying and they cannot process that information. So no wonder when we tell a child how to do something in the morning and they go out for playtime, no wonder they've already forgotten by the time they come in. So let's look at exactly what we can do and the process that we use to have our classrooms running themselves by October. Welcome to the Behaviour Teach to Change model. And this is intellectual property of Let's Talk Behaviour. But this is the exact process that we use to teach behaviours to our residential children's home children, ranging from 4 to 18, children in our foster care and within our schools. We use this process for every behaviour cue that we would like to teach. So that might be sitting down to eat food. That might be lining up. It might be coming into the classroom. Every behaviour cue that we would like to teach, we do it in this format. Just like how you learn to drive or how you learn to do a new yoga move or tie your shoelaces or do something new, make that new casserole, we do it in the same process in the same way. So we have a show and tell, we are modeled, we are shown, we practice the behavior, we get positive feedback from that behavior, or we fix that behavior loop and then we revisit to bring it back into that long-term memory and to remember. So let's look at the Behaviour Teach to Change model and exactly how you can use it to teach children any behaviour. First up, we've got the power of 3, and we use the power of 3 all of the time to teach every behaviour within our schools and settings. The power of 3 is simply 3 visual and verbal prompts. Now, this is underpinned by lots of neuroscience and theory. By using 3 visual and verbal prompts, we can tap into the dual processing theory, which means children are much more likely to remember the information. The information given is stored into the long-term memory rather than just being stored into the working memory. If information is only stored into the working memory for the children, remember, they will have forgotten 50% within an hour and 75% within the next day. By using visual and verbal information, we can break the information down into little chunks and we can help the children process that information and remember it better. This is just a little example that we have used the power of 3, and this is for coming into the classroom, calmly coming into the classroom. So we use calm voices, slow feet and careful hands. When we teach this within our classrooms, we use visual cards and or actions. The next thing that we do when we've got our power of 3 for our behaviour cue is we will model the behaviour to the children, just like you would model something that you would like to show them or somebody would model it to you. We would show them exactly what that behaviour looks, sounds and feels like. Then we go into scaffolding. So we would scaffold that behaviour with the children, and that might happen over a week or 2 weeks. how I do this in different ways is, for example, if I'm getting the children to line up and we use our hands by our sides, facing the way that we're going, we're not talking, the next day I might say something like, "Oh, I'm looking for good lining up. What do you think I'm looking for?" And I would hold up my 3 fingers, hoping for that 3, the power of 3, to be recalled back to me. The next part of the behavior teach to change model is to practice. And this, I cannot shout this from the rooftops enough. I have teachers and parents coming to me all of the time talking about their children's behavior, and they'll say, "I've told them and we've done it." And I always ask them, how many times have you told them and how many times have you done it? How many times have you modeled and practiced? How many times have you been through that power of 3? Because it takes 66 days to develop a new habit, around 66 days. Within schools, we hope that this is much faster, especially with the amount of times that you practice, but it takes time. Think about when you were learning to drive. How long did it take you to pass your test and learn to drive? I know for me, it was months, if not close to a year. So it takes time to learn and develop those new behaviors. But we have conversations all of the time where after a day, 2 days, people say they just don't get it. Well, first of all, they don't remember. And second of all, you have not practiced it enough. What it looks like, what it sounds like, what it feels like. I know that when I go back to school in September, we go through the behaviors so often that by October, I am sick and tired of going over those behavior cues, but it is the practice that makes it perfect. This is argumentatively one of the most important parts of this process. So this part is called the praise and fix. I have got a huge selection and resource bank for positivity and the power of positivity within the classroom. Now, positivity and positive reinforcement causes a dopamine and serotonin reaction in a child's body, which therefore means that that action that they have just done, if or when you praise them and give them praise for it, that positivity causes a hormone response. That hormone response triggers an effortful behavior tag, which means that every time a child does a behavior that you like or they do a behavior cue right, when you give them positive reinforcement or feedback from that, their body will release serotonin and dopamine. That means that their brain will tag that behavior as being effortful, which means they are much more likely to do it again. We see schools and parents all of the time that will give their child or save the rewards up for certificates on a Friday. The rewards and the positive feedback for that behavior need to be instant. The minute that that child does the behavior or the behavior cue that you would like to see, we feed back, "Wow, that was amazing. That was really good. I liked it when you remembered number 1 and number 2 of our 3. I liked it when you did that. I liked it when you stood up like that. That was amazing." We actually did a positivity check in our classroom, and we use positivity and positive feedback over 100 times in a day. If you would like to know more information about positive feedback and being positive and the impact that positivity has on a child's brain development and attention, then send me a message and I will get it sent over to you. We also have another video on YouTube and we have information on our Instagram and Facebook. Now, if the child hasn't done the behavior that you would like to see, we call this fix. And what we do is we would use positive feedback first to acknowledge what they did do right, and then we would use a fix. So it might look something like this. "Oh my goodness, you did coming into the classroom with your calm feet beautifully. However, was your voice calm? Were your lips calm? Was your noise volume or your level, was that calm when you were coming into the classroom? I wonder if we can try that again or do that again, and then maybe next time we will get it right." By fixing those behaviors, we are telling the children the behaviors that we like to see and the behaviors that we would like to change. Just the same as if we were doing our driving test or doing a yoga move, our instructors would tell us all of the things that we were doing right and the things we need to change for next time. Because if they don't know, then they don't know. And finally, we revisit. Again, really important to revisit these behaviors over and over. I know in the first week of me going back to school, we revisit the behaviors every single time we do them. So every time we're sitting beautifully, every time we're lining up beautifully, every time we're calm in the morning, we revisit the power of three. We go through what it looks like, what it sounds like, what it feels like, and we revisit. Remember, children will have forgotten 50% of information within an hour. We need to keep topping up that information and bringing it from the working memory to the front for them to remember, processing that into the long-term memory. Every Monday, we have Revisit Monday, which means we go through all of our behavior cues. If you think about the amount of information that children forget within an hour, think about the information that children will have forgotten over the weekend, which is why we often find that behavior is worse on a Monday or after a holiday. Revisit those behaviors as often as you need to or whenever they come up. Remember, when you are free from that 66-day jail, the behavior will be a habit. So this is the process, the exact process that we use every single time that we would like to teach a behavior. We go through the power of three. We will model, we will practice, we will praise and fix, and then we will revisit that behavior as many times as it takes. We have had a school use this process and to have taught behavior, and the class has run itself and the behavior by itself by the end of September. If you would like to know any more information into behavior and the neuroscience and actual brain science behind behaviors which make the behavior management work and stick, then make sure that you watch the rest of our videos or find us on social media. I'm Danielle Douglas. Let's talk behavior.